I'm Keely Eure here with Eli Kleinmann, the voice of USC women's basketball. For Rapid Reaction, USC takes down Michigan to advance to the Big Ten championship game. Eli, it looked dicey there for a while for the Trojans, but they ultimately separate in the fourth quarter and get the win. What did you see from them today?
Yeah, it was that 14-0 run in the middle of the fourth quarter that helped USC pull away, tie it at 60. But they trailed for much of the middle part of this game, and give a lot of credit to Michigan. Silas Swords, who did not play in the game against USC in December, is for real. She is a really good freshman and will be fun to watch over the next couple of years. But ultimately, USC's defense got enough stops, and then out in transition, they were able to score enough points to really pull away in the fourth quarter.
It was interesting. Coach Gottlieb said after the game that it was almost like an attitude switch and how they were able to go on that 14-0 run. She said that we were the aggressors. But what do you think was the key to doing that?
I think the defense, especially from a player like Malia Samuels, was really one of the big pieces in flipping that around. And the Trojans struggled defensively at times early, but Kennedy Smith really got them rolling in the second half. And even when she left the game, the defense continued to pick up its play as they got later on.
Yeah, you talk about Malia Samuels. I feel like that's someone who, as the season has ended, she's shined even more so. What have you seen from her contributions as of late?
She's been really impressive the last three games. Tonight she was a plus 18 when on the floor, which was the best plus minus for a Trojan. She had her most points in a game since game 3 of the season against CSUN. So just her ability to impact the game, not just offensively, but definitely more importantly, defensively, and just the pressure she applies to the ball. It started in that UCLA game at Pauley Pavilion to end the regular season, and she's continued to play well the last couple games.
I feel like we're also seeing Avery really blossom in this postseason. She's just a freshman, but she seems like such a leader out there on the court.
She's a vocal leader. She's USC's best shooter. She came into today shooting over 40% from three. He went 2 of 8 today, but it was the other plays that she made, able to spring free down the floor and transition for a couple layups, including a big one in the fourth quarter. That was where she also made her impact today.
It was a quiet game for Juju, and I say that in quotes because she ultimately ended up with 20 points, but it felt like every time she tried to score, there were multiple, as we've seen all season long, multiple defenders on her, but she still was able to perform. But it was ultimately Kiki who was the difference maker today.
Yeah, Michigan collapsed their defense around Juju, which is what can often happen when she takes on opposing teams just because they are so wary of how good she is. But she finished with a 20-point double-double. But Kiki inside, that's where USC wanted to attack. Michigan is undersized. They know it, though, and so they were good at slowing it down in the first half. In the second half, she really got going and was the difference maker in sparking the offense.
We talked about the difference that Rhea Marshall makes on the court and off the court. She was not only back on the bench today, but she was playing as well. It was funny, Malia said in the post-game press conference that Rhea kept saying every time out, our run is coming, and it finally did with that 14-0 run. But what difference did you see with Rhea out there?
I think her presence inside defensively is just such a game changer. Her length, her ability to go up block shots, and even when she doesn't block shots, just to have the presence inside, it makes it hard for teams to score inside. And Michigan felt that when she was in, only played 19 minutes, but it was an impactful 19 minutes for her.
You know, we've seen 2 games from the Trojans so far this postseason, and I feel like it hasn't necessarily been their best, but they've still found a way to win. What do you take away from this small sample size we've seen?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're in postseason basketball, so it's win, and that's ultimately what matters. Doesn't have to be pretty. Teams are losing across the country today in this semifinal stage of their conference tournaments, but I think there are things that USC is going to want to clean up. Turnovers has been a problem the last couple days, and then really finding the flow of the offense, but a really tough test tomorrow in UCLA once again. USC has played 2 of its best games against the Bruins this season, but now they have to play a third.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I was bearing the lead on facing UCLA in the championship. Technically, we don't know that officially yet, but UCLA is dominating Ohio State right now as we speak. But before we get to that game, I just want to ask you, Eli, you're the voice of women's basketball, so you've covered every game. This team is 4th, I believe, in free throw percentage in the conference, and yet we've seen a different story so far in this tournament. What do you make of that?
It sometimes just feels like free throws are contagious. You miss a couple, and they continue to happen. You make some, and that happens as well. It's really only been on one side of the floor if you actually look at how it breaks down. But I'm not particularly concerned just because I think there are so many good shooters on this team, and even the players who have missed free throws are really good shooters, and I just sometimes that's how it goes. And at the end of the day, USC's missed a couple in the last 2 games, but hasn't cost them yet, and so Trojans will probably I would imagine, would bounce back on that.
Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but UCLA's theme song band is playing in the background, which means that they just won their semifinal matchup. So as you said, Eli, it is officially UCLA and USC in the conference championship, a rematch of what we've seen as of late. This is going to be the 3rd matchup in 3 weeks, I believe, for both teams. What are you expecting for tomorrow?
I mean, I think it's exciting. Both teams want to come out and win a Big Ten conference tournament title. They played for the regular season title in Westwood just last Saturday. A week ago from today, they'll play again tomorrow. The question always is, can UCLA slow down Juju Watkins? So far this season, the answer has not really been yes. It has been quite clearly no. She has 68 points combined in the 2 games, but the other question becomes, can USC slow down Lauren Betts? In Game 1, they struggled a little bit more. In Game 2, they did a really good job of it. And the question is, can they do it for a second consecutive time in basically 2 consecutive weeks?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How much does that familiarity aspect impact USC and I guess both teams, in the sense that now you kind of know your tendencies and how they're going to attack you?
Yeah, they know everything these 2 teams do. There won't be a ton of learning. There won't be really any learning new things between these 2 teams. It's all about adjustments. What you see from that last game, both teams are going to watch the film. Both teams are going to come out ready, but it should be a fun one.
It will definitely be fun indeed. Alrighty, Eli, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
USC has a chance to win a second consecutive conference tournament title, and in 2 different conferences, which shout out to Greg Mraz of Big Ten Network and his stats, but USC could be the 3rd ever team to win back-to-back conference tournaments in 2 different conferences. UConn did it when they went from the American to the Big East, and Notre Dame did it when they went from the Big East to the ACC.
Wow, that's an impressive stat. Shout out to Greg for real. That was great.
Always got us covered.
He definitely does. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up here in Indiana. We'll see you tomorrow for the championship game.